after we finish cleaning up this mess, we will go our separate ways. Our paths will never cross. And we will tell this to no one. Understood?
Breaking Bad is a story of decisions and consequences. The story branches out from that first decision, Walt deciding to cook meth to leave money for his family.
It was a story of bad decision-making. It was the story of broken character. At the moment that he needed that moral support, it failed him.
And how this decision leads to unforeseen and unknowable consequences. It's a decision driven by pride and ego, covered up by a lie of familial love.
If I have to hear one more time that you did this for the family.
You did it for me. I liked it.
It's a decision we sympathize with, made by a character we pity.
People ask me, well, where do you think he went wrong? And I said, the very first episode. When he decided that he was going to do something that would change who he was. When we decide that we are going to step out of our moral compass and do something for greed or for desire of some other sort, some other vice, when you step out of that, that's when the slippery slope begins. And that's what happened to him.
The pilot episode was about the factors leading to this decision, while the next two episodes show us the fallout from Walt's actions, a technique that Breaking Bad masters over the course of the show, and drive home its message that your actions, good or bad, lead to equal and opposite reactions.
He thought it was a very little decision. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to put the blinders on, make some money for my family, then die. But he didn't realize, he didn't see the scope of his decision-making, the ripple effect that it would have and generate.
Walt's willful ignorance to the world of crime is repeatedly displayed in these early seasons, whether it be entrusting their meth business with the clearly psychotic Tuco Salamanca.
Tight, yeah!
Or wondering whether Krazy-8
is capable of listening to reason.
His naivete gets him and Jesse into all sorts of trouble, the first of which is the Krazy-8 problem. Towards the beginning of episode 2, Cats in the Bag, Walt lectures about chirality. This is a not-so-subtle indication of Walt's split psyche.
Chiral, chirality, mirrored images, right? Active, inactive, good, bad.
His moral dilemma of what to do with Krazy-8. The writers also make sure you know about what's on his mind by this moment.
Yes, Ben?
Is this gonna be on the murder?
What?
Is this gonna be on the midterm?
Episode 2 is mostly just set up for the conclusion of Krazy-8's story. But basically, this is what happens. Walt loses a coin flip to Jesse, meaning Walt has to kill Krazy-8 and Jesse has to dispose of Emilio's body. Walt and Jesse's chemistry, no pun intended, is immediate and effortless, and we get some great comedic moments such as these.
What kind of reason? You mean like, dear Krazy-8, hey, listen, if I let you go, will you promise not to come back and waste my entire family? No Colombian neckties? You mean that kind of reason? Nah, man, I can't say as I have high fucking hopes where that's concerned. Like I came to you begging to cook meth. Oh, hey, nerdiest old dude I know, you wanna come cook Crystal? Please. I'd ask my diaper-wearing granny, but her wheelchair wouldn't fit in the RV. Are you smoking weed? Oh my God. Wait a minute, is that my weed? What the hell, man? Make yourself at home, why don't you?
By the way, fun fact, Jesse was originally supposed to be killed off at the end of season 1, but Aaron Paul was so perfect that they kept him around.
Early on, we realized, my God, this actor, Aaron Paul, is so damn good. He's so wonderful. We'd be cutting off our nose to spite our face to get rid of this guy. We're going to keep him around. And not only that, Aaron Paul happens to be one of the sweetest people in the world. He truly, I mean, he really is. He has such heart and soul, and I mean, all these actors brought magic to these roles. But just sticking with the example of Aaron, he has a real sense of morality, and that winds up infusing itself into, I mean, it did with us, infusing itself into the character of Jesse Pinkman.
There's a couple other key moments in this episode that I'll come back to, but for now, let's move on to episode 3. Hello and welcome to Breaking It Down, an episode-by-episode analysis of what I consider to be the greatest TV show ever written, Breaking Bad. My name is Ryan, this is The Stories We Tell, and I will be your host on this long and hopefully fruitful journey through every episode of Breaking Bad. So I hope you will consider subscribing and joining me. Let me know what you think of this video or these 2 episodes down below in the comments. Another great free way you can support the channel is by telling a friend or liking this video. It really helps me out, so appreciate you all in advance. Anyways, that's all I got until the end of the video, so I hope you enjoy the rest of my analysis of episodes 2 and 3 of season 1 of Breaking Bad. In the opening of Season 1, Episode 3, and the Bags in the River, we turn back time to a very different Walter White than we've become familiar with. This Walt, at the peak of his achievement with gray matter technologies, is confident, assured. He speaks with vigor and a hint of arrogance. This is nothing like the Walt at present in the story. Meek, soft-spoken, bit of a pushover. It's a subtle move by the writers to show us this Walt at this moment. We can't help but like the guy. We want to see Walt return to his former glory, and thus the writers can use that desire to test our limits of Walt's manipulation and violence and sin. We don't know yet what happened to make Walt a shadow of his former self, but at this point in the story, it doesn't really matter. Because of how Walt's character is set up, when he begins to reassert control over his life, even through violence, we cheer. His confession to Skylar that he's been smoking pot is a victory.
He sells me pot.
In this confession, we see shades of that self-assured Walt, although this is simply a manipulation tactic. Obviously, Walt can't admit the truth here, so he comes up with a believable lie to admit instead.
Kinda like it.
Are you out of your mind?
Further, he turns the tables on Skylar and makes her feel like the bad guy for ever making a fuss about it.
So right now, what I need is for you to climb down out of my ass. Can you do that? Will you do that for me, honey? Will you please, just once, get off my ass? You know, I'd appreciate it. I really would.
It's a testament to Bryan Cranston's complete embodiment of the role of Walter White. He plays the sad sack just as well as he plays the kingpin, and his pathetic disposition forces us to sympathize with him. Even something as silly as him talking about
cleavage
is played for sympathy. The majority of episode 3 focuses on Walt's moral dilemma, although we do get some heartwarming moments of Hank being a complete asshole to Wendy the prostitute.
Don't think so hard, it's gonna hurt your brain.
And diminishing Junior's handicap.
He broke his leg playing football. He's a QB. An arm like a howitzer.
Walt forms a bond with Krazy-8, whose name is revealed to be Domingo, and Domingo correctly asserts that
you getting to know me is not going to make it easier for you to kill me.
They spend the episode talking while Walt considers his equally terrible options. So right away with Breaking Bad, we see how Walt's choices have unintended consequences. He starts cooking meth to support his family. Okay, well, looks like you got trapped between a rock and a hard place. Now you have to decide whether to kill a man or sacrifice yourself and your family. It's a pretty intense bind to be in, but the rest of the series shows that the longer he stays on this path, the harder it is to get off. To the point that eventually, Walt doesn't want to get off. Bryan Cranston's performance in these conversations with Krazy-8 are among the best in the series. You can visibly see the anguish and conflict on Walt's face as he comes to realize that this is a line he cannot cross. Eventually, he breaks down, saying,
I don't know what to do.
But Krazy-8 replies,
Yeah, you do.
So Walt goes upstairs to get the key to unlock Krazy-8, but here he discovers the broken plate and its missing piece, and realizes that Krazy-8 intends to kill him the moment he gets unlocked. Yellow is a color that comes up many times in these two episodes. The yellow bag in the previous episode that Walt almost used to strangle Krazy-8. The yellow t-shirt Walt wears when he does eventually kill Krazy-8. The yellow plate that splinters, creating a shiv for Krazy-8, which eventually leads to Walt's decision to kill him. It's generally agreed that yellow represents the pain and suffering resulting from the meth trade, but I'd love to hear your interpretations on the use of this color in these two episodes. So Walt goes back downstairs knowing what he must do. This shot and the earlier yellow bag shot visually show Walt's descent into darkness, the path that all started with one decision that will leave him further down to atrocity and manipulation and murder. The episode then culminates in something that we all knew was coming eventually. At least I did, since I'm watching this for like the fourth time. At the end of the episode, we flash back to the gray matter days, where Walt had left a question hanging at the beginning of the episode.
Just doesn't it seem like something's missing?
Now we get the resolution, with Gretchen saying,
What about the soul?
clearly referring to the fact that Walt has gone down a path that will lose him his soul. So there you have it. That is the Krazy-8 arc in a nutshell. Pretty crazy, right? I think now that all this mess is cleaned up, Walt is surely going to put all this craziness behind him and just spend some quality time, what little time he has left, with his family, right? Right? I guess we'll have to keep watching to find out. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking around until the end of this video. Make sure you subscribe to see when the next Breaking Bad video is out. Also, feel free to check out my other videos. I don't just do Breaking Bad content. I do all sorts of stuff. By the way, I started a Substack chronicling my time in Hong Kong. Only got one post up, but I'm basically dissecting the Tao Te Ching, if you're familiar, by Lao Tzu. I have some hesitations with Taoism. Like, I'm not fully bought in, you know, but I think there's a lot of wisdom. So I kind of want to just like dive into it and see what I get out of it. So it's going to be very casual. It's also just going to talk about my experience in Hong Kong. In case you missed it, I'm here as an English teacher until May. So that's going to be it. Yeah, this is my beautiful, spacious apartment. This is luxurious, I know. Definitely teaching me how to be very intentional with how I take up space, and it's a process, I'll tell you that much. Anyways, I'll leave a link to that Substack in the description, so feel free to check that out if you're so inclined. Otherwise, peace and love, and I'll see you next time.